Hello, Christina Resso. Thanks for tuning in and happy Tuesday to each and every one of you. And I hope you all are doing very well. I came across the story about more wokeism in our military. Out of all the military, not branches, but academic schools, and I even applied to the school myself several years ago, perhaps over 2 decades ago, excuse me, West Point. So West Point is starting to become woke with the transgenderism, and having all these commercials about acceptance and things like that. Maybe it has a lot to do with the education and the ageism, and I don't have a problem if it's more diverse racially. I have no problem with that at all, because you need to work hard to where you want to strive to get to. But this story is ridiculous. It states West Point candidate schooled on whiteness, queer theory under newly revealed CRT regime. Okay, so this goes right back to the problem with Black Americans and doing all this extra stuff for Black America. It has nothing to do with white people. Black Americans are dysfunctional as in they and I'm sorry. I say they because I don't play into that game. But just to play just to be on this side because I share the race. Okay, fine. We're dysfunctional people since the 1960s. All right. And I had to cut off a guy, recently, unsubscribed to him because he blamed my father walking out on me, and said, accused me of having daddy issues. And if you want to go back, and maybe I mentioned this on my last couple of videos about Juneteenth, ironically being Father's Day, he made a comment about listening, but I don't think he really did. He also has a lot of black male friends, so that may have gotten to his head that blaming single mothers were the problem. So that's why he could easily throw it in my face that it was my fault that my father walked out on me as a 3-year-old child. The story reads West Point candidates have been taught that whiteness connotes race privilege and structural advantage as a part of the instruction based on CRT, according to a newly, revealed document and course material from the academy. I would have never experienced this in the night. I applied for the school in 1994. They refused to take me. I graduated fifth in my class in high school. And over 20 years later, I read this crap about West Point. Among the trove of documents, now repeating this, I'm not plagiarizing. I'm just rereading what Charlie Kirk shared on his show several hours ago. Okay, which were hard over to the Judicial Watch after a public record of lawsuits that are presentation slides instructing cadets that in order to understand racial inequality and slavery, it is necessary to address whiteness, whatever that means. As a white person, this will piss me off. Whiteness, the slide reads, is a standpoint or place from which white people look at themselves and the rest of society. Refers to a set of cultural practices that are unusually, unmarkedly, and unnamed. Another slide that contains a graph that reads modern day slavery in the USA. Now, mind you, I'm probably older than these people. My grandmother is probably older than these people who grew up under the Jim Crow laws in Mississippi. You really think she would buy into this crap? Between black people and white people. Alright, this is where it gets good. I think I'm only going to finish in this page because everything else is nonsense. The presentation points out that black people are less likely to have a college education. Why is that? Again, lack of father structure in the home. I was motivated to go to honestly, I didn't want to go to college until later, not immediately. But due to my poor eyesight, I went because I didn't just want to sit at home and be lazy. Because there weren't what opportunities was I going to get as an 18-year-old? And besides, I looked for jobs in old school newspapers and couldn't get it. So instead, I went to college because I wasn't qualified to join the military due to my poor eyesight, and which I didn't discover until later on. Why I was disqualified because my original choice was to join the military. Receive, recommend record screening tests, receive bank approval for housing, mortgage, own their own homes, or receive a job promotion. All of these are lies. It's lack of fathers. Not only Charlie Kirk admits this, a lot of black conservatives admits it. The top, I even saw this on PragerU. The top 5 major problems with black America has nothing to do with white Americans at all. Not even racism, white supremacy. It's all about, in a nutshell, poor choices, including victimhood. That's number 5. Number 1, of course, they say something about urban economic things, but this was a black guy that presented this on PragerU, excuse me. He said number 2 was baby mama stuff. But a woman doesn't choose to get pregnant. It's her fault too, don't get me wrong. But it's also just as much as the father's responsibility. A woman says she's pregnant, and this is a woman of any race. A lot of black guys walk out on their children. Despite of how much they insist they're the best fathers in the country. Yet they even walk out on their biracial children that they claim that are more beautiful and they praise more than their fully black children like myself. But yet, baby mama is the problem. So if you're a black woman listening or any woman, stop. Don't get involved sexually with a man until you're married. How about that? But of course, you won't listen to me. The Department of Defense turned over more than 600 pages of documents, including presidential presentation signs, course outlines, emails exposing the extent of CRT instruction of West Point. Our military is under attack. Really? said the Judicial Watch president Tom Hinton. These documents show racism, anti-American CRT propaganda, and is being used to try to radicalize our raising generation of Army leadership of West Point. Why would you even allow this? Where's West Point again? My goodness. Is it in? Oh, it's in New York. That figures. It's in New York. That figures why you allowing this crap. A blue state. Dealt with a high crime rate in celebration of this so-called Freedom Day and anti-whiteness and anti-Americanism with a second Independence Day. I don't care about having an extra day off. I wouldn't mind getting up and going to work and in fact, if the next job I have is not a federal job, I wouldn't mind proudly getting up and going to work. Unless I'm sick, I mean, no, I only celebrate one Independence Day. Federal, whatever. I'm not foolish enough to tell you where I work. But according to where I work, we got the day off. And yet paid. But you honestly think the average person, despite a race, would know what this Juneteenth nonsense was all about? I may have mentioned it in my previous video, but it should have just, if you're going to do something like that, just remain it a holiday within the city or just state, but to be federal, because our president feels guilty about how he feels about black people. Because that's not going to change the way he feels. If he dislikes black people, whatever. I don't care. He fails as a president. So let's see how he does in Saudi Arabia. And he'll be shocked that there are Saudis in that country that are darker than I am. If not one of the princess, excuse me. Christina Red Soul, pray for our nation, pray for our brothers and sisters in the persecuted church, under the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, and I'll talk to you super soon.